Hi everybody and welcome to Des and Lauren, and today we're discussing the future.
And future cities. Our Minister of Human Settlements says that we need new cities in South Africa, and the first thing that pops into my mind is this going to be a technological prison, and we will look at that and many other factors. Should we allow government to actually decide and design these cities for us? So Lauren, let's get into the article. This is from IOL, and you'll find a link to this article in the description below this video, as well as in the first comment. It's a short article, but very important concepts to actually think about.
We need new cities, says Human Settlements Minister Kubai. South Africa needs new cities as the current ones are old and overpopulated. These are the words of Human Settlements Minister Mamoloko Kubai, who was speaking on the sidelines of the United Nations Habitat Assembly in Nairobi, Kenya on Thursday. So if you have not yet read Agenda 21 by the United Nations, I suggest you go over to their website and download the PDF and give it a read to understand what our future is going to look like.
Yeah, it's going to take a while, but make the time. Even on a weekend when you're quiet, read Agenda 21, read Agenda 2030, and read between the lines and see what it actually is telling you.
According to the SABC report, the minister said the country could not continue to rely on the current cities, which are overpopulated due to a lack of expansion.
Well, most of these cities, the infrastructure that you need to put in place to create a city is vast. You need water supply systems, you need stormwater removal systems. Last night here in Cape Town we had massive rains. When the stormwater system doesn't work, you have drains lifting up, you have blockages happening everywhere, and you have flooding. In major cities, because you have all the road infrastructures and so on, you need an electricity grid with power distribution, substations, switching stations, etc. So a lot of infrastructure that you need in a city or a metro that you don't need in a small little town. So it's a very different setup. There's obviously a lot of pollution that can take place when everyone's on the road with cars, etc. So the answer in the future with Agenda 21 is control everything, control the human populace completely, monitor, track and trace them, and then make sure that you create the utopia and especially the control you want. Any government, it must be their absolute dream at the moment to design a brand new city where they can control everything.
That's what they want to fix what's bad statistics in their mind, and the only way they can think of doing that is through controlling people. I was still working for government at the time when the local municipalities signed densification policies going forward, meaning that they were going to find any piece of available land and build up. Make sure there's as much people on square meterage as possible. And there are parts of Cape Town where we live that looks like a mini communist country.
Groups, it's terrible.
And sold for an absolute premium. And one thing I've noticed as metros that are currently existing are getting developed, the development is mainly shopping centers and living units. There's no green belts, there's no quality of life. It's just pigeon coops and places for us subjects to spend money.
And at the moment, I suppose there's lots of people happy to just have a pigeon coop, and very soon it just becomes the norm, and that's what everyone expects. And in places like that, you can't build a family.
It's anti-family.
It's totally
anti-family policies.
We actually drove into some of these areas in the Tableview area, that expansion, and it's the property developers that are absolutely making a fortune there. But there's no ways that you can actually build a nation from such a place.
I also don't believe, people work, they come home, and you can't properly enjoy being at home because you live in this tiny, tiny place and you're paying for it. I remember the last time we looked at flats, houses there, they were actually for sale, so it wasn't government issue for people who can't afford housing. It was things you're actually going to buy for like 800,000 Rand. As small as an olden day kitchen, pretty much.
It's yeah. I mean, I don't know how you sleep in rooms like that. We have minimum sizes, 2 by 3, 6 square meters, and that's basically what it is, with the tiniest window allowable. It's almost as if they went and looked at the minimum requirements allowed and built accordingly.
Well, I won't say what I feel about property developers on this channel. Except I'll say I think they're worse than politicians. A lot of you will criticize the president, criticize politicians. Worse than politicians on my food chain is property developers.
And second in my mind is the insurance industry.
Oh, yeah,
but that's
definitely.
another topic for another day.
So I think I've always said to be free as a human being, you need your own piece of land, you need property ownership, and then you need to be able to do what you want on that land.
Land, not concrete.
Land,
Yeah.
yes, but you can dig a spade. You can,
All of those, they have minimum border outlay. In other words, you can just walk around the place. There's no garden or anything like that. To raise a child in an environment like that is horrible. You're gonna hear the person on the toilet next door flushing, etc.
Absolutely.
It is horrible.
I always wonder these new developments that are being made that many people are moving into. We even looked at one not so long ago. What does it do to one's mentality? And I think one's political circumstances is reflected in the kind of housing that's available for the majority of people. And if you look at what's available, what's new, what's being sold to middle class, to affluent people, we are very much in a communist, authoritarian, tyrannical dictatorship. If you look at the kind of living conditions that even the middle class and affluent are paying now, and the amount of freestanding houses that are large with big backyards are diminishing.
So it's communist cities coming your way.
Global communist
cities, because many global agents will get involved. The United Nations, where she was attending this conference and presentation, will make sure that everyone is living in a city where they can have full control. And I've spoken at length about this in the past, giving you the details for these plans. They lay it out, as Lauren says, in Agenda 21 that you can go and read on the UN's website. Maybe we should give you a link to that.
Maybe. I just want to bring in one other thing. An article I read recently is how BlackRock and a few other corporations in America accounted for 20% of single-family freestanding house sales.
So they're buying up family homes, literally. And this is obviously a way to control property prices, making it more difficult.
Well, they'll call it investment.
And then they create the solution later, which are these smart cities. And nothing smart is mentioned in this article. But it's clear that they will make announcements soon. That is one thing she said. And Cyril has made many announcements and gone to the openings of these smart cities that are still in metros. What she's referring to is completely new cities.
Well, they're going to have to incentivize big business starting up in those cities. So it's going to be interesting. It's one thing building the infrastructure. It's another thing getting the economic hub going. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do, but I'm sure we can be rest assured there'll be a camera on every corner.
Yeah.
And microphone.
It'll be the first thing going up, probably.
Yeah.
They'll probably put a fence around the entire city. So these property developments where you do have freestanding homes for the rich, with the fences around you, those are already prisons within the country. So I wonder, what do you think? Are these going to be prison cities? What are they going to look like? At this stage, this article doesn't make that clear, and Kubai, I'm sure, has been briefed very well on the technology they can build into these cities. Where do you think they're going to build them, and how many do you think they're going to build in South Africa? And how many people will they be able to accommodate? And this is important because, remember, Agenda 2030 is 7 years away, where they would want to reach these goals.
Yeah, 70% of people need to live in cities, so not rural or anything
Correct.
Alternative.
So this article speaks about that, where she says that the other areas are losing people to the current metros that can't handle the influx.
Yes,
The water infrastructure, sewage can't cope.
She specifies Limpopo actually as one of the highest number of people who migrated from other provinces to Gauteng, and she says here the poor always follow the rich in every environment. Nobody wants to stay in an underdeveloped area. With the exception of Gauteng and the Western Cape, all other provinces are what we call rural provinces. So all of us are moving from our rural provinces to townships, suburbs, and everywhere. And I think this is interesting. I wonder if there will be a movement of people who want to get away from this global control into rural areas. And then I wonder, are those rural areas going to be bought up like what is happening in America right now?
And then you won't have space anymore. Prices will be driven through the roof. And at the end of the day, what space will be left for those that want to remain free?
Exactly.
From global control, from literally a technological control interface where they probably dig in the fiber first, put up the fences, put up the cameras right round.
Make homeschooling illegal, so your kids have to go to some state-sponsored concentration camp.
Station. So this might sound doomy and gloomy. However, these are things that are on paper, that is written down, that is openly planned for our country and many other countries around the world.
Everyone should be as stressed about this as they are stressed about load shedding.
Yes.
You should be as stressed about this, because an attack on the freedom or availability of land for private possession is an attack on freedom.
And don't forget one thing. As infrastructure crumble in the current cities, as she's saying, they are falling apart. Like in the city of Cape Town, for instance, I mean, most of the underground pipelines that bring water from the dams, they have a 20% leak rate. So, I mean, most of the water is just going into the ground. That's not sustainable with the water supply that we have. And as the metro grows, eventually these metros get abandoned. This has happened throughout the ages. On a planet where large cities get to the point where they cannot sustain themselves anymore. Once you go beyond 1 million people living together, you need very unique infrastructure for it to be sustained. When you go beyond that, it will eventually crumble, desertify, and there'll be nothing left. People will run away.
There's evidence of this throughout history, and in our biggest metros, we have over 3 to over 4 million people.
Yeah, so we're way beyond that. So Cape Town will collapse as a metro at some stage. The infrastructure won't be able to be sustained. There won't be a political will to actually maintain things when they do break down. Even under the best of conditions, the best of intentions, the mayor could be the best, the ruling party could be the best, it doesn't matter. They will not be able to maintain what we have currently, and the socio-economic circumstances will speak for itself. So these new cities or new developments are sorely needed, but what are they going to look like? We do need new areas where we can develop, where people can go, especially young people. And what will it look like? Will you be able to live in those areas? We need to do what it takes to create a future where these new developments can be free. So you can't just sit back and wait for these plans to take place. We need to create an alternative reality.
I don't think our current way of thinking and our current systems are adequate enough to design a future where we can have freedom and liberty, individual liberty, able to choose what we want to do, what we want to say, how we want to associate. And yeah, I think unfortunately the government is coming to our rescue yet again. They're seeing a problem, they want to come to our rescue, and that comes with consequences.
Well, this is happening throughout Africa at the moment. The minister was here in Kenya, where they are going to be developing new cities. I know Egypt has announced a new city. Instead of Cairo, they are building a completely new city from scratch. Capital city. It'll be their main city, and they will move people to there. I don't think people understand this yet, and we will very soon do a Stranger Than Fiction video on this.
It's fascinating.
It's absolutely fascinating. Laura and I have studied this phenomenon around the world. There's many cities that have been built in certain countries where the people haven't moved yet. Massive city infrastructure. And they're just sitting there waiting for a certain time where people won't have an option. And they are very well monitored, tracked, traced. Many people have already built the government buildings for those cities, in fact. Fascinating. Let's see what's going to happen in South Africa. Tell us in the comments what you think, what you predict will happen with regards to these new cities that will be built. Any last thoughts?
Well, I think we should need, like I've said so many times, we need to think about the future we want. A lot of the time we go around thinking about what we don't want. We don't want this government. We don't want this person in charge. We don't want this. We don't want that. We need to start thinking about what we do want and then start working towards that.
Yeah, very simple. We are the solution. We create the future that we want. It's that simple. It's not rocket science. It's actually very easy. People must just be willing to do it, not be caught up in their day-to-day difficulties and their little pigeon coops that they live in. And once you get into that mentality, there's no turning back. You don't have a populace that'll fight anymore for freedom.
I think we're very close. We're like teetering on the edge.
On the edge. So we want to make sure we remain on the free side of that edge where we can still make choices. And the fact that we have a useless government helps us with that.
Absolutely.
So we still have a chance here in the Southern African region. So, thanks so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to this channel. Click the bell icon for future video notifications. Turn on your notifications. And even join us and become a member on Thursday. We will be doing another members live at 7 o'clock. And you can look forward to that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Till the next video.